Welcome to the Infinite Universe podcast, coming at you live from Westview, New Jersey. Well, technically really close. We're your host. I'm your friendly neighborhood DJ, J Days, alongside my co-host. He's a seaman, possibly a merman, but much better than Aquaman. He's Ben Pumpkin Claw Metless.
What up, everybody?
And we're recording at your place today, close to the Wanda Hex.
15 minutes away, actually.
All right, coming up in today's show, we talk the latest trailers that dropped, plus we deep dive into the last couple episodes of Wandavision. But before we kick things off, I want to remind you about our Pop Funko giveaway. All you need to do to enter is to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and share our video, and hit that notification bell. All right, let's talk about some of these trailers that dropped, Ben. Did you check it out? Mortal Kombat?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, we were, teenagers when the first one came out?
I think we were younger than that.
Yeah, probably. Maybe like 11, 12. Okay, yeah, you're probably right about that. And, for what it was back then, it was kind of fun.
It was, it holds nostalgia value.
Looking back on it now, it's kind of cheesy at times, especially the second one.
And didn't they make 3?
Oh, God, I didn't even know.
Was they... I don't know.
That's like Leprechaun. I don't know how many they ever made of that.
Don't even delve into that.
Anyway, but we're getting Mortal Kombat, and it's going to be dropping on HBO Max April 16th. So just a couple weeks away. Soon. That's not even that far away. The trailer looks so awesome. It looks like we're getting like a Sub-Zero as the villain, or one of the villains at least. And I love how immediately in the trailer they showed a finishing move. They showed Jack's arms being ripped off. I thought that was just sick, very nostalgic, like you said.
There was a lot to unpack in that trailer. First off, they made it very clear at the trailer that there will be blood. And a lot of blood.
Yeah, and we're going to see finishing moves, so that's fun.
Finishing moves, and...
we're getting a lot of the classic characters like Sonya, Kano, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Raiden, Goro, and many others.
Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
There was also, I think there was also a teaser to Baraka. There was a picture when they were talking about an ancient fighting group.
Yes, I saw that.
Looked like it might be Baraka. And it looks like they're also sticking to some of the storylines that were in the video
The Mortal Kombat lore, yeah. And they're also introducing a new fighter as well. So one of the main characters in this is Cole Young.
Okay.
I think
he's going to be the outsider that we get to witness everything as.
Yeah, I think so. I think he has that dragon tattoo on him, and it's that chosen, mark or something like that. There's some deep dives online that I didn't really want to go into because I don't want to spoil the movie for myself. I don't want to know. I don't want to know everything about it. But what it does look like though is it is setting up a Scorpion backstory.
Yes.
So that's kind of dope, I think.
That was one of the things I was most excited for, is seeing Scorpion as like an old rugged man, and instead of his spears coming out of his hand like we saw, it was like that weird
bird. That
weird lizard bird that came out of his palm. It looks like this is actually a weapon that he's trained with. Yeah. And then that epic battle in the trailer. I mean, if that alone was the best part of the movie, I'm fine with that.
With him versus Sub-Zero?
Sub-Zero creates an ice wall, and then...
Did you see the part, though, where Sub-Zero cuts him? The blood that flies in the air, Sub-Zero freezes, turns into a dagger, and then tries to stab him? I was like, yes. Sign me up for that shit. That looks dope.
Actually, I know it's on HBO Max, and I most likely will be watching it, but just that battle scene alone would be worth seeing it in the theaters. I would totally want to see that in the theaters.
And again, it looks like they're setting up backstory for these characters. It's not just like, there's this tournament, throw a bunch of random people in. I think Sonya's describing it at first as like they were on to some case, and then this person assassinated like her whole squad or team members, and one of them being Jax. So you see Jax try to shoot him, and he freezes the gun, and then he takes his arms and freezes his arms and cracks them off.
He has the robotic arm.
So now Jax in this story has something that he's fighting for. He's basically got his life taken away from him practically until modern medicine or whatever, futuristic medicine, builds those Terminator arms for him. Anyway, it just looks so fun, so sick, right?
I'm wondering if because we're seeing characters from Mortal Kombat 1 and Mortal Kombat 2. Now, we saw Shang Tsung and Goro, who are obviously the bad guy, the bosses in the first Mortal Kombat. Now, do you think Shao Kahn will be in it at the end? Like, they'll sneak in Shao Kahn at the end, and then that will be a lead up to a sequel? Or do you think he'll show up sometime in the movie as the main villain?
I hope he shows up later on in the movie. But maybe there's a continuation though. Like he shows up, maybe fuck shit up, and then the next one is him in it.
I'm sure if this is successful, then they will be making more. Which, by the way, this is looking, and that they're doing the video game justice.
Yeah,
because the game was bloody. Do you remember the blood code?
No, I don't.
I think it was ABABACADD or if anyone remembers it, please comment in the comment section if you remember the blood code. But I remember renting it from my local video store. Remember those mom and pops?
Yeah.
And the game book came with it, and it was written in it. And my mom and dad didn't know that it was written in it when we rented it. And I remember my dad going, "How is there blood in this game?" And then they opened it up and they saw it, and we never were. But by that time, we memorized the code anyway.
Yeah, and by the fans' reaction when the trailer dropped, it seems like people are very excited for this.
I'm excited. I mean, it's about time they made a good Mortal Kombat movie. The last video game was amazing, Mortal Kombat 11. I mean, I can't believe they have 11 Mortal Kombat games, but the storyline was great, and the storyline for the first Mortal Kombat game was cool. So it looks like they're doing the game justice and the characters.
All right, let's talk some more HBO Max news. We're finally getting Justice League, and early. I thought at first this was supposed to be out late in the year, and apparently they're pushing it all the way forward to March 19th, which is just a couple weeks away.
3 weeks away? 3-4 weeks away?
Totally awesome.
Yeah.
And we got another trailer. What is this, the 7th at this point?
I told you we're getting just trailers. But actually, I have to recant what I said before, that I wasn't really excited about it. There was a reveal on social media that you sent me, and I guess they're changing Jared Leto's Joker.
Oh, yeah, that was really cool.
And seeing him the way he was, they kind of made him look like a monstrous butcher. Almost like a serial killer.
He has a butcher apron on or some shit.
Bloody lips.
Yeah, it's very, very eerie.
Horror.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, very Texas Chainsaw. Very hard. Very Rob Zombie 31.
Yeah, I like that they got rid of the
tattoos,
the stupid tattoos, and the gold grill, and that whole thing disturbed me. But that was just one of the other cool scenes that I noticed in this trailer, because we also are getting the black suit Superman. So that's pretty cool. I hope he comes back from the dead, evil at first.
Yeah,
the Justice League has to stop him. And then he joins them later on to defeat Darkseid, which Darkseid looks like he has a much bigger role in this. And Steppenwolf looks way cooler.
Way cooler. They definitely changed up his appearance.
Because that CGI in the last one was terrible for Steppenwolf.
Lazy.
Yeah.
It was very lazy. And his backstory was lazy too.
And that's the thing about this movie, this version. It looks like the heroes and villains, they're really getting more of that backstory and development, which is perfect. I mean, we see Flash saving Iris in one scene. We see, I think, more scenes with Aquaman. There looked like there was another scene where there was Wonder Woman going through some temple or something like that, learning about the myth or lore of Darkseid. So again, so much more depth to the story.
How long is it going to be?
So it was supposed to be 4 1-hour-long episodes, but now it's just a 4-hour movie, and it's actually double the time of the original. And by the way, it also costs an additional $70 million to make. But based on this trailer, I think it's worth it.
I mean, Warner Brothers, I guess, is going all out with their HBO Max, and I mean
that this is case in point, because when have you ever heard of a movie going back in for reshoots and spending $70 million.
Additional.
That's like what, 1/3 of the budget, maybe 1/4 of the budget that it was. Yeah, this is additional just to what, do fan service?
And also the fact that they're not continuing with this whole universe anyway. I'm just saying, thank God it's not in the movies, because I really don't think I could sit through a 4-hour movie like that in the theaters. But I will sit on my couch with a couple cold beers and watch a 4-hour Justice League like recut. I'd be down for that.
Agreed. I mean, so that's coming out March 19th. Moving on. This was exciting too, based with all the, hype over WandaVision and how awesome this show is. Marvel's Phase 4 of the MCU is continuing on March 19th with Falcon and Winter Soldier. So check that out. Falcon and Winter Soldier and Justice League.
In the same weekend.
Yeah, so we're getting, Phase 4 of the MCU continues on March 19th with Falcon and Winter Soldier. The cast of characters includes Sam and Bucky, obviously, but also we're getting Sharon Carter, Agent 13, Baron Zemo, U.S. Agent, and Backrock the Leaper. What is it? Backrock?
I guess so.
He was in, what was it? Not Civil War. He was in Winter Soldier. Remember when Cap in the beginning jumps down onto that ship?
Yeah.
With Black Widow, and he's fighting that guy who's jumping around? Yeah, he's this stupid villain that fucking leaps and jumps, and he has like a baton.
That was a damn good fight, though.
That was a cool fight scene, but in the comics, the guy's kind of, I don't know, I always hated the guy. But the fight scene was dope. But anyway, I think that same actor is going to be in this. So we'll have some more cool fight scenes, I guess.
I have to give it to Marvel, though. They have found ways to turn really low, non-rudimentary characters who are boring into very appealing, action-filled characters.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and also we saw, we don't see his face, but we see a Captain America in the trailer.
I think that might be U.S. Agent.
You do?
Yeah, I think it might be.
Okay, because I'm kind of hoping we get Hydra Captain America, but I mean, we've seen that they like to tease us fans with with little snippets of what we want, but then they kind of bring it back, as we'll talk about in one of the latest episodes of WandaVision. So, but I'm excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier. It looks like a buddy cop,
It looks funny too. That scene where they're doing the stare. She goes, "What are you guys doing? Is this a staring contest?" Yeah. You know what I mean? It was just like the silly banter that they'll have, those moments, plus all the action. I'm excited for it, and I'm just really hoping, again, they've impressed me so much with WandaVision that I'm hoping that this continues along with this next MCU series.
I think it's going to be different than WandaVision, but it will definitely be something worth watching. We'll see a lot of action. I think those two actors really work well together, as we've seen in Civil War. And, remember the banter when they were fighting Spider-Man? Yeah. And I feel like they're going to elaborate on that more, showing that these two characters, even though they're opposites, kind of like Bad Boys. And, the quintessential, buddy cops from the 80s and 90s, Tango and Cash and movies like that.
Or Rush Hour.
Yeah, or Rush Hour, exactly.
All right. Well, in other related Marvel news, Marvel retains the rights now to the live-action Netflix characters. And there's rumors that they might be entering the MCU. So I'm excited for that. I mean, we know we're getting Daredevil, at least, in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. Sure. Give me another Defender series.
Give me Punisher. And, even if they don't cast all them others, the guy who plays Matt Murdock, and give me John Blumenthal in as Punisher. I met him.
I know, you told me that, actually.
He's one of the nicest people I've ever, famous people I've ever met.
Did he talk like this?
No, he didn't really have that, but he was actually very talkative.
Did he call you Red?
I would have asked him to, but that would embarrass the person I was with, and I probably wouldn't have had dinner that night.
Nah, I love him as an actor. He was great on The Walking Dead and killed it as the Punisher. I'd be excited if all these characters enter the MCU. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is that in the Netflix world, it was a darker tone, but I kind of feel like Marvel's not afraid to dip their toes in that water now. Like I said,
we've seen it with WandaVision.
That's what I'm saying. They're taking these like weird twists and turns, these different directions, and as long as the writing is great, do whatever you will with it. Let's see.
We're going to be seeing a lot darker tone, I feel, with Doctor Strange.
I was about to say that.
Madness. I mean, you have Sam Raimi, the father of Evil Dead, directing it. He's a horror director.
Nice.
So the fact that we're getting a horror director directing an MCU film, as a horror fan, I'm excited. And as an MCU fan, I'm even more excited.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on and talk about our new favorite show.
Oh my God.
Ben, I don't even know if you noticed the shirt I'm wearing today, by the way.
No, I did. I was going to mention it at the car, but I felt like I should. He's wearing a black and white, like nostalgic WandaVision shirt. They're cartoons, but it's supposed to be in 50s style cartoon.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the Jetson style animation. Anyway, yeah, I'm rocking my Marvel swag today. And again, I don't even know. I just keep saying the same stuff over and over again. I love the show. I'm so impressed with it. Give Elizabeth Olsen all the awards.
A Grammy. Grammy. Yeah, give Elizabeth Olsen a Grammy. She doesn't even sing, but give her a Grammy anyway. Give Elizabeth Olsen an Emmy.
Yeah, for sure. She's amazing in it. Even Catherine Hahn is impressing me more and more each episode, and we're going to talk a lot about that. And I just love it, man. There's nothing more that I can say than every episode. It's keeping me like wanting more. I don't remember the last time I was this excited for a piece of content each and every week. I would hate this show, I think, if they gave it to us all at once. But the fact that they give us this week in between, it leaves everyone's imaginations running wild.
Oh my God, Twitter is rampant.
And just like all the speculation and rumors and theories. The only time that I could think that a show has been this fun and with this much like social chatter, I think Lost. Maybe Lost had that.
Lost or Walking Dead at its peak.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Walking Dead at its peak. But like not now, but like season 4, season 5.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. Okay, true. But everyone's loving this show.
We have a mutual friend who, when episode 1 and 2 came out, posted on his Facebook page and goes, "What the hell is this?" And I commented, and John saw it and I said to him, "Wait till the other episodes come out. I promise you." And I remember he commented underneath that comment 2 weeks later after episode 4 and goes, "This show is fucking amazing."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm glad I listened to you." He said, "I didn't understand it at the beginning," which I think is why they released episode 1 and 2.
Yeah. Together,
just so people could get a taste and a feel for it. But once episode 3 and 4 came out, people started really opening their eyes to what is developing in this show and what's going on with Wanda and what's going on with Vision.
And what's so dope about it is that every episode is so different than the last, but they still connect seamlessly.
Well, there was a fan theory about what's going on. If you notice every episode, like a lot of people are speculating that Wanda's going through the 5 stages of grief.
Okay.
So episode 1 and 2 is denial. Episode 3 and 4 is anger. Episode 5 and 6 is bargaining. And this last episode we saw was depression.
Yes.
And then at the end, we kind of saw, acceptance almost at the end. So this maybe episode 8 and 9 will be acceptance, where she kind of accepts what's going on.
Wow. Heavy, deep.
That's what a lot of, that was something. And I actually went back and I was like, oh, if that's like the subtext between every episode, and it makes sense. And
it does make a lot of sense that you say that. So check this out. Let's talk about these episodes real quick. So in episode 5, on a very special episode, what sitcom was this?
Growing Pains and Family Ties.
Yeah,
Family
there you
Ties
go.
with Michael J. Fox. It was actually his opening, like it was very Growing Pains.
Yeah, that opening scene when they sing the
Show me that smile, show me that smile.
And this
singing.
This episode is just all about the kids, really.
Yeah.
The kids keep growing fast. We see them as infants at first and then just sprouting up into 5, 6-year-olds and eventually, into like maybe 10-year-olds. But what's interesting in this episode is Vision is starting to catch on to what's going on, and he's starting to question things, right?
We see in this episode that Vision has control over himself. It's just his lack of memory before.
Yeah.
And he's kind of understanding that everything is not as it appears. And he's working it out like, well, who am I? Like, why can't I remember before all of this? Why, things are not as they seem.
Yeah. And later in the episode, we also see Monica meeting Darcy for the first time, and they get a brief from Hayward, right? Hayward, it seems a little suspect to me as these episodes go on. But what I really enjoy about this scene, it shows Agent Wu and Hayward arguing a bit. Wu is kind of like almost defending Wanda in a way, saying that...
Well, Monica is too.
Yeah. Saying that, she eventually gained the Avengers' trust and everything, and Hayward just sees her as an enemy of the people, basically.
I've kind of got a big tone from, do you remember the old X-Men cartoon?
Yeah.
And so what we're seeing is a sentiment from survivors of the Snapshot.
Yeah.
That people who survived the Snapshot, regular people, are kind of suspect now of people with abilities. Power and abilities. And we're I feel like maybe they're building on that.
Yes.
Like that.
I think that's the whole sword name and the projects that they were working on.
Anti-mutant sentiment that we saw in that old Marvel cartoons and the old Marvel comics. They're trying to build on that. And Hayward is like kind of a representation of that, where, Sword is looking at it more like, well, we need to control them.
Yeah. And we see this, actually, which was another dope scene in this briefing that Hayward was giving, where we see Wanda breaking into Sword to steal the corpse of Vision, and apparently to resurrect him, which obviously she does. But just seeing that scene was so badass. And again, that was a very X-Men-y vibe to me, too. Like, someone like a Phoenix kind of ability, just destroy everything around it with ease,
She just is unbridled power. It was also suspect to Hayward because he was trying to resurrect Vision himself.
Yes.
Why are they trying to resurrect Vision?
Yeah. Again, probably to use him for nefarious reasons, yes. I'd imagine. We'll see where that leads. But later on in this episode, I want to point out something, that kitchen scene. It's kind of interesting because in one of the first episodes, they showed the dish soap in the background. And in that episode, Vision was questioning Wanda, and that soap said coy, and Wanda was playing coy, right? Now, in this episode, the kids find the dog, and Wanda's in the kitchen with the kids, and everything's kind of like happy-go-lucky. And in the background, the soap says joy. So I thought, these little Easter eggs are pretty interesting.
So it's kind of going with her attitude, and her mindset.
And I was trying to notice if I've seen it in any of the other episodes that followed, but I didn't notice it. But so the kids find a dog, right? And also what was interesting about this scene, there was a lot of talk of responsibilities and living things and dead things.
And resurrection.
I thought that was very interesting as well.
There was a lot of hints and subtlety and in kind of the backstory that's going on. Like, well, Mom, you could bring him back to life. And also you notice Wanda is not trying to hide her powers at all.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Wanda starts, being a little bit more loosey-goosey with her powers in front of the neighbors.
And Vision even calls her out on it.
Yeah, and then he even says, we're not on the same page. We're usually of the same mind. What's going on? Like, so again, he's feeling it more that something's wrong here. And I just love how each episode you're like Vision's getting another piece of the puzzle, and obviously in the next episode it gets even more intense. But I like how the kids just keep growing again,
they can control it.
It seems like they can, right?
Yeah. It seems like either they can or someone is allowing them to. Because they went from infants to 5, and then Vision says maybe when you're 10, you can get a dog, and all of a sudden they grew to be 10 years old out of nowhere. And Darcy, and Agnes doesn't even say anything.
Yeah, very true. And it was also, Agnes finds the dog dead later in that episode.
Which leads to something
else come episode what? 7, yeah. And again, that scene again was just very telling where the boys ask Wanda, fix him. And then Vision comes over. Like, what are you talking about,
Yeah.
One of the really great moments, though, of this episode, it was the office scene where Vision was at the office and he gets the email and him and Norm are talking. And then Vision, uses his vision fingers on Norm. And he's able to snap him out of whatever, spell Wanda has him in. And you see that moment of panic and suffering.
Because he was not in control of himself, and he says, you have to stop her. But also to go back, I like how they named the character Norm.
Yeah.
It was a callback to Cheers. Hey, Norm. I thought that was a nice kind of nod to 80s sitcoms.
And you know what? It also kind of gave me a vibe of, that scene was very Twilight Zone-like.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just everything from the props in the room, the interaction. I don't know. It was really fun. I thought
it was very Twilight Zone, where he's kind of getting the messages from Sword because he basically created the internet in his office. Decades before the internet was actually available to everyone, and that was when he kind of looked at Norm and he put because he saw he was able to shut the computer down with his fingers, so he did it to Norm and he brought him out of the spell.
Nice.
It was interesting.
And then finally, later we see Hayward, who sends a drone to attack Wanda,
Well, Monica actually does that. Monica comes up with the concept that the Hex transforms anything they send it into that decade. So they actually get an 80s drone.
That's what it was.
A drone from the 80s to go in. So it didn't need to be transmitted to
I missed that part. Good catch.
So they send this 80s drone in, and they thought it was just a contact. So Monica and Darcy thought it was just a contact.
But
Wanda.
Hayward had other agenda. He wanted to
retrofitted it with a weapon to take a shot at Wanda.
And that's when Wanda comes through the Hex. This scene was so dope. She comes through the Hex with the drone and just throws it at the soldiers' feet.
Dragging it it doesn't even weigh anything and throws it at them.
And then to just sum up, she basically says yo, next time I'm going to wreck you.
Yeah.
And then she makes all the soldiers' guns point to Hayward's head or chest maybe. So sick. What an awesome scene.
She's also using her Russian accent, too.
Yeah, and now we're starting to really see Scarlet Witch here.
Well,
now we're seeing...
that goes back to her levels of grief. This was anger again. She was
very
angry.
good.
And remember, she was a little angry at the last one with the guy that came up and also at Monica. She was angry at Monica, and now we see her angry at them for anytime someone tries to get in her world, she became angry.
And then she goes back into the Hex and creates a big red wall. And a lot of people are theorizing that this might be the multiverse.
Maybe.
What do you think?
Or maybe it's Mephisto with the red.
Yeah, let's see what happens with that.
Yeah. I mean, we've all had theories about it because we were wrong about another theory, unless we're not wrong, with the aeronautical engineer.
I also really like the scene where Vision confronts Wanda and tells him that that he spoke to Norm and that he was in pain, and he tells her, "You can't control me like you do them." And then they get up into that battle stance and they're about to fight. And yo, this is sick because they're gonna have to fight at the end of this, right?
I think Wanda might destroy Vision. Or at least Vision, I don't think he's coming back out of this alive. Because, the Hex has to come down, and that's what's keeping him alive. So I don't know if maybe Wanda will accidentally kill Vision again.
You're right, that he's not alive if the Hex is not there.
But I really think when Vision was confronting her, she really didn't know what he was talking about at first. And then she was just like, no, I'm doing this for us. It was the bargaining again. She was bargaining with him. No, I'm doing this for us.
Yeah, and he tells her, what she's doing is wrong.
Yeah.
And then the doorbell rings, conveniently enough.
And he calls it out, too. Because it was like before when he goes, I feel like someone's going to come and interrupt this moment. And that's when Agnes came in. And again, the doorbell rings. And he even says it. He's like, that's convenient. Right at the moment of peak tension.
And then the episode ends with an awesome cameo with Quicksilver making an appearance, but it's Quicksilver from the Fox universe.
Not from the Disney.
Not from the Avengers
Age
MCU.
of Ultron,
Yeah. That's very interesting. And, later on in the episodes, we find out some more details, but still a little confusing as to why, right?
But it was cool that Darcy called it out because the end of the episode ended with Darcy going, she recast Pietro.
Yeah.
And, at first, though, I don't think she recognized him. But then she kind of did when he goes, what, you're not going to give your the big sister can't give brother hello? And
what's interesting, though, is I've been watching these episodes over, and almost every time he talks, it's about like death or something. Mm-hmm. He actually says something along the lines of, I can't squeeze my sister to death or something like that. And which brings us to the next episode, which was such a fun episode. It was called the all new Halloween Spooktacular, episode 6. And what I liked about this one is that it had a Malcolm in the Middle vibe. It
absolutely did have Malcolm with the video camera.
From the intro music to the the kids doing the narrating in the beginning.
Yeah.
It was nostalgic, so fun, I thought. And again, we got a Halloween episode of something that you can watch now on October 31st now. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of fun on a side note. But the episode's just cute and adorable all the way through. Starts off, I think Wanda comes down the stairs, right? Dressed in her little outfit.
There was a funny thing that came up about that Wanda and Vision were actually in their original costumes from the comic books. Yeah. So apparently, Joss Whedon told Elizabeth Olsen when she was first cast in the second in Age of Ultron, he said, "You will never have to wear the costume from the comic." And like here she is wearing the costume from the comic. And Elizabeth Olsen brought that up, I think, in a recent interview that Joss Whedon said that.
Did Joss Whedon yell that at her?
And that goes into a whole other thing. But I heard it was her idea to do that.
I thought it was fun to see the retro look on both of them. Yeah. And then to see Quicksilver with the retro look as well. That was kind of fun. And then he dresses up.
And Speed and Wiccan were kind of in their own costumes too. Yeah, and you see them act out their powers.
Yeah, that was fun. So the kids start developing powers now. Simply like, Speed runs around and steals all the candy from the neighborhood.
With Quicksilver.
Yeah. What's also really interesting about this episode is you see kids everywhere.
Well, Vision brings that up.
Yeah.
Is that he says it, doesn't he say that to like Wanda? Like, where were you hiding all these kids all along?
No, it was Quicksilver, I think, that says that to her. Yeah.
Because we see something is up with Pietro. He's not like, we see like he's kind of antagonizing her a little bit.
For sure. And again, if you listen to his dialogue, he calls them little hell spawns, and he says something else to Wanda later about her dead husband. So he keeps like bringing up, I don't know if this is just random dialogue, but
there's nothing random in these shows.
But like hell and death, and I think it's a little too coincidental.
It's very subliminal.
Yeah.
And a lot of subtext involved.
So remind me what else happens in this episode.
Vision tries to escape the Hex. Remember, Vision like purposely tries to leave the Hex, and he notices as he gets further away from the center where their house is, things aren't as they appear. Like people are stuck.
People aren't as active, and people are in like almost like loops.
In like repetitive loops. And then actually as he got even further, people were just kind of stuck. Yeah. They're not moving. And then he actually finds the wall to the Hex. And as he tries to leave, they see
before he gets to the remember Agnes in the car.
Yeah, that was actually strange. Because that's very contradictory to how we saw her in the last episode.
So what was interesting, though, is that it seemed a little weird to me that she was
in her own daze.
Yeah, but was that fake or was that real? And was she leading Vision there? Because remember, Vision shot up into the air, looked around the town. On one side, he heard noise, and the other side, he heard nothing. And all he saw was this lone car with the headlights on, pointing in the direction to the exit of the Hex. So I was almost thinking, like, was Agnes leading him there somehow, some way? And do we trust her right now? Obviously, in the next episode, we find out a little bit more about her. But in this moment, you know, she's the one who tells Vision, hey, you're not alive. You died. Yeah. Am I dead? She thought she was dead. And then she's like, she's able to like have Vision convinced that like he needs to go beyond the hex, beyond that wall.
And encourages him. It's almost like a hint, like you got to keep going.
Yeah, it was a weird Twilight-y kind of moment. But then, that scene where
you notice she's dressed as a witch.
Yeah, conveniently, right?
Yeah.
Well, what was cool, though, is that when he is trying to push through the hex, we start to see his body, like, decompose, break apart. Yeah. And he's basically, like, struggling in agony, and the hex is trying to pull him back with all its strength. And this is when Wiccan, I guess, develops his ability because he senses something.
He senses that because basically when he gets out of it, his body starts breaking apart. And Wiccan senses like Dad's in trouble. And I think that's when Quicksilver makes like the side comment about her dead husband, and then she like kind of throws him. She gets.
I think he says something like he can't die twice or something, right? Maybe I don't know.
And she expands the hex to even further to encompass past Vision.
Yeah, and oh man, just that scene of just like watching him just kind of like die was so cool because I was like, I don't know why it didn't hit me that outside of that hex, he's not alive.
No, he can't
exist.
I
know he's dead, but I just know, exactly, he can't exist.
He can't exist.
Fascinating,
her
right?
power in the hex is actually what's keeping him alive.
Yeah. And then, so you said the hex gets pushed further and further and further, and I think that's how the episode ends, right?
Yeah, the episode ends with that, and you see Monica and Wu, who have stolen the sword card, because technically they're thrown off and supposed to be either arrested or leave the area, and they arrest Darcy, they chain her.
She ends up in the hex.
Yeah, she ends up in the hex. And she actually tries to communicate with Vision, with Monica and Wu leaving to go meet with their aerospace engineer. And then they barely make it past the border.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's how the episode ends.
Which brings us to the latest episode. Man, this was fun.
There was a lot to unpack in this episode.
Exactly. So much freaking stuff in this episode. Some of the things I loved about it was called Breaking the Fourth Wall. And to me, the intro music sounded like The Office a little bit.
No, it was very much The Office, but the style was very much Modern Family.
And definitely Modern Family. And even Elizabeth Olsen's acting was much like the mom in Modern Family, which I thought that was such a great homage to, I don't remember the woman's name, I'm sorry, but she's great in that show. And that was so fun, like seeing her with the kind of disheveled hair and like...
She looks like a mom who's been she looks like almost like a single mom who's been taking care of her two kids, because remember, Vision's not there anymore right now.
Yeah.
And we learned through the episode, something is actively trying to keep Vision away from the house. And so we see her in depression. That's why people say in this episode, she's in depression. She can't handle the kids. We see things glitching throughout the house. They keep reverting different generations. The kids' play system goes from a PlayStation 4 to a Nintendo 64 to an Atari to a Rubik's Cube and then to jump ropes or something. And things start glitching around the house. And that's when Agatha comes and goes, "Oh, let me take the kids for the day." And she goes, "Oh, that would be great." And then we see Vision find Darcy, and he says, "You were trying to contact me," and he brings her out of the hex, out of the mind twist that she's in.
Was Darcy supposed to be a strong woman?
No, she was supposed to be a magician's assistant. Remember, because they thought that he was a magician or a clown.
Oh, but why was she able to break out of the chains?
Because it was actually it's supposed to be an old magician trick.
Follow up. But then why did she punch the guy and knock him out so good? That's why I was like, maybe she was supposed to be a strong woman, but I guess maybe you're right. I don't know.
She just was able to punch him out because he was in a mind ball. He's not able to defend himself.
Oh, okay.
Because there's like a magician's trick. It's funny that you mentioned Modern Family because there's a whole Modern Family episode about it.
Oh, where
remember how Phil
gets stuck in the...
well, he was trying to teach like Luke how to do this trick where like basically you bend forward and like you breathe in and rotate your shoulders and you're able to shrug the chains and the jacket off, straight jacket off. And it was funny because I've been actually on a Modern Family binge for some reason recently, and I just watched that episode and I'm like, oh, that's crazy. They just did that.
Well, you know something else, because this also is a little bit Office inspired with the talking to the camera, fourth wall. There was a Office episode where Michael tries to do a magic trick in a straight jacket.
Oh, no way. Oh, wow.
And he drops the key, and someone like steps on the key so he doesn't see it, and he's just stuck in the straight jacket.
And he can't get out?
Anyway, just
That's
random.
so Michael.
Yeah. What else, though?
So they go to... so Darcy and Vision are trying to drive back to the
in the ice cream truck that they stole.
Well, first, in the ice cream truck they steal, and then first the construction workers come and block the road.
Yeah,
and then all
school
of a sudden
kids.
the school kids crossing, and then they got to fix something else happen. And Vision says she's trying to. Vision assumes it's Wanda. I don't think it's Wanda, and we see at the end of the episode. So we see Wanda's now looking for the kids, and she goes over to Agatha's house looking for the children.
Agnes. You messed up. You said it twice.
Yeah.
Even though you are right, which we're about to reveal.
Right, but she goes to Agnes's house where Agnes reveals who she really is.
Yeah, and that was such a fun scene, right? Like, well, first off, like, it sets up so creepy. She enters the house. It's, like, dim lit. She sits down. She notices, like... I think there were some snacks on the table that would have been the kids, and then she's like, wait, where are my kids? She looks over at the bunny.
Who's, by the way, is named Mr. Scratch. And if
Senor Scratchy.
Senor Scratchy. Anyone that knows, Mr. Scratch is a nickname for the devil.
Yeah, and it's interesting also that we see the rabbit a bunch in this series. The kids were playing with the rabbit. But anyway, the kids are nowhere to be found. So Agnes says, oh, they're probably playing in the basement. So Wanda goes down to this creepy basement. Again, it's horribly lit. And at first it looks like a normal basement, but then she like turns a corner and then it turns into like almost like a dungeon lair sort of thing. And then that's when the big reveal happens.
Agnes
is really
Agatha Harkness.
An evil witch, right?
She in the comics, she's Scarlet Witch's mentor, but she does become a major villain for the Fantastic Four. And I wonder if she's got the kids held for Mephisto, because remember, Mephisto needs the children to complete his soul. Yeah.
So again, in the comics, Agatha is a tutor of Scarlet Witch, and she teaches her witchcraft. But it seems like the MCU is kind of skipping this, I think, and jumping right into
her being a villain.
Her being a villain, like in the Avengers West Coast series.
Yeah.
And it also has to do with the death of Vision in that storyline. So it kind of seems like this is all playing into that comic.
Oh, something we kind of passed over I wanted to bring up when you brought up Vision. Darcy explains to Vision what happened prior to the events. And that because Vision says to her, wait a minute, so Wanda had to watch me, Wanda kills me, then watches me die again. So basically Darcy reveals to Vision that Wanda witnessed him die twice.
Yeah.
And after witnessing her brother also die. And explains to him the events that led up to what they're at now.
And also in the comics, Agatha wipes Wanda's memory after the kids are revealed not to be real, and it's revealed that they were created by Mephisto. So this could be a plot line that they're definitely leading up to. Kind of seems so, right?
Yeah. You notice also that everything was purple. It was kind of like, Wanda is red, Scarlet, and like Agnes is purple.
And I want to mention something about that because we also saw that damn stork again with that red smoke. And that red smoke is different than like Wanda's red magenta magic.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I have a feeling like that's
more important than they're letting on.
Yeah.
It's not just an aberration. It's actually something that's going on.
So we'll see what happens. We got a few more episodes left, but something else we got to mention that was really cool in this.
We missed something else.
Monica Rambeau is starting to develop her abilities.
She met up with her aeronautical, basically space engineer friend who wasn't Reed Richards.
Everyone online was going to say it was Reed Richards, and it just ended up being some random.
We got introduced to another character who really didn't seem that important, but we don't know if she actually developed it by herself.
Or she just delivered it.
Maybe she just delivered it. Maybe this is just someone who's delivering it. That's why, it was very quickly glossed over.
And those sword costumes look so much like Fantastic Four kind of costumes. If you just change that sword logo to a four, it would look like the suit Mr. Fantastic wears, Reed Richards wears, right? I really hope they're leading down that path. A lot of people are like, no, they wouldn't do that in a TV series, But there is supposed to be that big Luke Skywalker, quote unquote, moment at the end of this series. There's people thinking it's going to be Doctor Strange. There's people who's thinking maybe it could be Magneto. Or there's people who think it could be
Reed Richards.
So I would love it if it's any one of them, honestly.
Yeah.
I think Strange would make the most sense.
Strange would be the most plausible.
But it doesn't seem like that. Why would you hype it up to be a Luke Skywalker moment? Oh, unless fucking Doctor Strange comes in and fucks up all the witches in Mephisto.
Yeah.
So if he fucks up like Agnes
or he breaks down the Hex, leaving them all exposed.
Oh. All right, I'm back on board for Strange.
He uses his power and he breaks down the Hex, and you have Agnes, Wanda, who may still be underneath Mephisto's power, those two standing there. And then imagine a Wanda who's underneath the power of this Agatha Harkness, and then she loses vision and she loses her children, and then she just goes completely like Carrie on everybody.
Oh, dope. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, can you imagine this time no one had to drop blood on her like at the prom.
I don't know if we mentioned this, though, but it was really cool seeing Monica Rambeau develop her powers now and abilities.
I really like that.
And become
she
Photon.
See below the veneer of the entire Hex.
Yeah, like in the comics, she has like energy absorption, and she could manipulate the ability to travel at speeds of light or something like that. Again, I wasn't big into Photon,
didn't really explain a lot. Like at first, when she breaks through, we see her eyes change. We know that it changed her cell structures twice. So she's going through it a third time. So what it looked like at first, it looked like she actually saw what was going on, like almost like below the Matrix, right? And that was kind of how it was when she looked in the basement, Agatha's basement. Like she saw the currents of magic going through.
Yeah.
And then Wanda tried to attack her, and she actually was able to deflect a lot of Wanda's magic.
That was cool. That was really cool.
So I wonder if they'll maybe explore a little bit more about it. Maybe she does have energy absorption. Maybe she's immune to Wanda's powers, and actually could see Wanda's powers for what they are.
And the episode finishes off with a first in this series. A credit scene.
Yeah.
Which it was Monica walking over to Agnes's home and about to go down the cellar, and behind her is Quicksilver.
In a really creepy horror way. Like, I wonder if he's actually
and then it just ends.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think that was about?
I think that he's a minion of
Agatha.
I don't think he's actually Pietro. I think he's representation of Pietro. Right.
And wasn't it a lot of fun though? The Agatha theme song, it was.
I liked how you saw that she was behind everything, like behind the camera.
Yeah, when she said that's that. I don't know, when that fourth wall break. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
it was very fourth wall break.
Wanda was like, "You're not supposed to talk," right, or something like that. And it had like this monsters theme kind of vibe to it, right?
Yeah.
So again, every
That was a good
episode,
call. I didn't even pick that up.
every episode just ends with this like, what the fuck moment, and I'm at the edge of my seat like, oh, I gotta wait a week.
I'm just glad that we have 2 more episodes. I think I would be very disappointed if it ended the way it was and it was only 8 episodes. And I'm like, how are they going to wrap this up?
Oh, yeah, that would be bogus.
But the fact that we have 2 more episodes.
What happened to the rumor of it being like hour-long episodes? I thought Kevin Feige said something. I mean, I only saw it online.
Well, he said they wouldn't be a half an hour.
Oh, because they gave us that bonus scene, you jerk. That's his extra.
Well, we also get 15, 20 minutes of credits.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
I know, it's like 40 minutes on my thing at the bottom and like 20 minutes in, and it's like all of a sudden the credits roll. It's like,
I know. All right, and with that, we're going to wrap up Wandavision talk. We got 2 more episodes, like Ben said. I can't wait for that. And then right after that...
2 more episodes, and then a week after that, we get as Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yes, I was about to say that you just stepped all over what I was going to say. Yeah, wow, you were very excited.
We only have a week to worry, like, because I know what's going to happen, man. Episode 9 is going to end, and we're going to be like, oh, crap, what do I have to watch now? But then it's like only a week.
Yeah. And again, seems like there's a lot of good stuff coming out this year still between all these series and movies that are dropping.
I think a lot of movie studios are going to be dropping stuff on video on demand. Change of subject.
Except for fucking Black Widow, who's still not freaking coming out on video on demand.
I read an interview of John Carpenter said that Halloween Kills will be released on video on demand. So, I mean, I think a lot of movie studios are realizing, like, we can't delay movies 1.5 to 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, just cut our losses, and release them on video on demand, and people who want to watch them will watch them.
Yeah. Make some money.
Yeah, make some money better than none.
All right, so we'll be back in a couple weeks with some more WandaVision talk and whatever other nerd news is floating around the internet. Remember, we have a Pop Funko giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, share, comment, and hit that notification bell, and you're automatically entered. Later this year, we'll choose one person at random and ship you off that cool Pop Funko of Super Skrull. We're also out there on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all other podcast platforms. Ben, why don't you plug your page?
I got a page, BH Pumpkin Claw, where I do horror movie theories and videos. I'm going to put one out in another week or so on a book I'm writing. And also, I might put out a video on a book review. I'm reading the new Light of the Jedi novel about the High Republic.
Nice.
That has gotten me so excited. So I think I might do, once I'm finished with it, on this, I'll do a review video on our YouTube page for the Infinite Universe podcast.
Sweet. Remember, you can hit us up on social media. We're out there on Instagram at Infinite Universe Podcast, on Twitter at Infinite Unipod, and all those other social media platforms. Remember, subscribe to that YouTube channel. Okay, that's going to do it for this week's episode. And remember, although we may be assholes, we are not 100% dicks. Until next time, I'm J-Days.
I'm Ben.
And we're out of here. Peace.